Hello, I'm Attentive Dragon, and welcome to Let's Play DOS Games. In today's episode, we're going to be playing a game from 1984, a Lode Runner clone called Freddy's Rescue Roundup, also known as Roadrunner Rescue. Most of the copies of the game that came out had the Freddy's Rescue Roundup title, but the developmental title was Roadrunner Rescue, and in fact the title that I had when I was originally playing this game back on my PC Junior back in the 80s was Roadrunner Rescue. For a long time I didn't even know it had an alternate title. Like I said, it's a Lode Runner clone with a few differences in gameplay, so let's get started and I'll show you what it's all about. Like I said, if you look at the title, you can see it's called Freddy's Rescue Roundup. The story of the game is basically that there are roadrunners living in a national park. And robots, for some reason, were put in the park. I don't remember if they were meant to be maintenance robots or maybe to clean up trash. But the point of the game is the robots have run amok, and they're a threat either to the park goers or to the roadrunners. And you play the character Freddy, who, as you can see, is the little yellow dude on the screen that they're showing there. Your job is to rescue all the roadrunners and hopefully not get compacted by the robots who think you're garbage. Let's go ahead and go to the menu. Here you could select, the game had somewhere between 20 and 30 levels, if I remember correctly. But you didn't have to start at level 1. Patio would start you in level 1, mezzanine level 5, upper area level 10. We'll go ahead and start at level 1 to begin with, but I am going to show you some of the more advanced levels where the game starts getting really tricky. Skill level will determine how fast the robots move and how many of them are. Let's start off on practice, just to be on the safe side. You can have high scores and, your other typical arcade information. The game was compatible with the joystick, but I'll be playing it with the keyboard. It's very simple controls. You use the arrow keys to move your character left and right, up and down ladders, and you use the space bar to jump and to dig in bricks. Like I said, this was a Lode Runner clone, so you had that ability to dig holes in the ground. Unlike Lode Runner, you could not use the holes to kill the robots. The robots were pretty much indestructible. If there was a conflict between a brick reappearing and the robot being in the same space, the brick would appear for a second and disappear and let the robot keep passing through it. But those bricks could kill you, and they were a threat. So I'm going to demonstrate all of that right now. We're going to be going in the patio in practice mode. So here's the screen. At the bottom of the screen, you might notice two progress bars. One is sort of a pinkish red, the other one's a bluish green color. The red one is going to be the time that you have left in this level. And I'm going to go ahead and move because that robot's about to get me. And that timer will count down. Once that runs out, you lose your life. The other, the blue bar is your supplies, Freddy's food. And I'm going to go up to the top, and if you look here, I'm standing right next to some supplies. As that runs down, picking up the supplies will go ahead and refill that bar for me. Now, there is no way to refill your time unless you die, so you are on a time limit. Now, the little power pelt looking thing here I'm about to grab, watch the robot coming up the ladder. That freezes the robot for a few seconds. Now, this little box here is a teleporter. If I go into it and press space, I'm going to wait for this robot to move a little further on. You'll notice on the left side of the screen there's another box just like it. Watch what happens when I press space. I can go between them. It's a quick way to jump around the level, and in later levels that becomes almost essential to winning. Now here, this little red thing here, see, as you notice I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to hurry. This red thing here takes you to the next level. There's 4 levels in each world. Up here is a broken one of those doors. That would take me backwards, back to the 4th level. I'm gonna go ahead and go through real quick. Notice now I'm in level 2 of the patio of World 1. If I go ahead and go again, I'm in level 3 of patio, World 1. And once more, I'll be in level 4 of the patio level. We're gonna go back to level 1 real quick, grab our food supplies, and go on with If you notice at the right-hand side of the screen where the robot is, there's now a new door that opened. This would take us backwards through the level. So you always had two doors, one to go forwards from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and so on. The other one would take you backwards, 4, 3, 2, 1 and back to 4 again. See, now we're on level 4. Up, and that one's broken. They don't get fixed until you've collected all the Roadrunners and supplies in the level. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. We're going to go on now to level 2 of Patio. I'm just going to go ahead and play. Now this pink floor, unfortunately, makes Freddy walk slower. As you can see, he slows way down. Now there is a way around that. If you jump, you go a lot faster. But in later levels, they make that a lot harder. They'll put those rougher patches of ground that you can't walk as fast on too close to ceilings where you're not able to jump. Now, like I said, this is a Lode Runner clone, so just like in Lode Runner, these types of bricks, if I press space next to them, disappear, and I can jump right through. If I wait too long and it reappears while I'm jumping through, it should reappear any second now. There it goes. If I'm in that space when it reappears, I'm dead. I lose a life. Now that's essential to get some Roadrunners. As you notice, this Roadrunner here is too high for me to get. I can't get at him. I can't even jump off this ladder to get him. He's too far away from the ladder. But what I can do is open a hole right above his head. And there I go. Now I've gotten almost everything on this level except for the supplies, so we'll grab those. You got him. Now, we won't go through the backwards one. We'll continue on to level 3. I guess I should say board 3, because technically we're still on level 1. But I think you get the idea. Now this is practice mode, so there's only one of those robots. In later levels, there's multiple robots, and once you get to advanced mode, there's 2, sometimes 3 robots on the harder levels, and the robots move incredibly fast. It's a real challenge. But this, I'm just right now just giving you a taste of the game and how it works. And here's the 4th board of level 1, so this will be the last one. Once you complete 4 boards of a section, you get to move on. So basically, you can move through, through the 4 boards, do them in any order you want using that red door. You're a little limited in which direction you can go through the boards because, the backwards moving one is always broken until you get everything. But then once you get everything in all 4 levels, you're done. And that little da-na-na-na-na-na, that means I've gotten everything in all 4 levels and we're done with level 1. Time for a coffee break. You've journeyed to a new level, level 2, and get a bonus of 10 points. New total 141 points. You also get another man, 6 men left. I'll go ahead and do World 2, and then we're going to take a brief break and go on to some more advanced levels. As you can see, when you get the Roadrunners, you get 1 point. So like a lot of old arcade games, the objective was to try to get as high a score as you could get. The objective wasn't to try to get through and beat the game. It was more to try to, beat your high score. Each of the Roadrunners gives you 1 point, and the power pellets, I believe, give you 3 points. We can confirm that right now. Now here's something new. You see that little red thing moving left and right near that power pellet? That's a platform that you can jump onto. It's also a hazard, and I'm going to demonstrate that in a second. Once you're on here, if you walk left or right, you can jump right off. Now, it can also kill you if you happen to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Like that. Concussion! So you have to be very careful when using those, I don't even know what to call them. Moving platforms, excuse me. Now, one strategy that it doesn't really matter this early in the game, but in later levels, where the order that you get the Roadrunners begins to matter. Again, I'm going to have to show you that. There's certain places where you go down where you can very easily get trapped. So because of that, or there's ways that you'll go through where there's only one way out once you've fallen down. You can't climb back up easily. So time becomes a real issue. In these early levels, you can waste your time a lot. In later levels, it becomes very important to manage your supplies. So you sometimes would want to skip this and move on to the next level and then come back and get them later. Not so important at this point. But that becomes, managing your supplies actually becomes an important strategy in later levels of the game. We'll take advantage of the fact that the robot's not moving to grab that Roadrunner there. Now I can't actually climb any higher than that because there's no ladder there, there's just a teleporter. But once the robot's out of the way, I can use that to teleport up and grab some more Roadrunners. There we are. Can't catch me. Now the robots are somewhat intelligent. They will try to follow you if you get into their line of sight. If I stand here and the robot passes over the ladder, he's going to come down at me. If I go up on top of the ladder and stand there for more than a second, he's going to come back up. You can use that to your advantage sometimes to lure a robot away from an area that you want to be in. Now I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate another way you can die here. Digging holes is sometimes useful, but sometimes you get trapped in a hole. And there's nowhere I can go. I can't climb out. Unfortunately, Freddy can't jump in that. He can't jump that high. And crunch! You don't want that to happen. And the third way you can die, is unfortunately those robots, when they catch you, robot gotcha. Now there's two more ways that you can die, which I'll go ahead and demonstrate, even though they should be fairly obvious at this point. One of them is running out of time, and the other one's running out of supplies. And I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. We'll have to wait for the time to run out. Let's see if there's a level where there's a little bit less time. Here we go. We'll wait here for a moment for the time to run out. Luckily, we're in a safe spot where the robot can't actually get to us. Once the timer drops below that red into its red zone, you see the little clock appear next to what world we're in. And we know that we have to hurry and finish up with this level. And that timer is independent for each board. If I almost run out of time here, but finish and am able to move on to, say, level, board 3, I've got more time. But unfortunately, my time is up. A little too slow, and you lose a life. Now, losing your life also, of course, refills your supplies. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate losing supplies a little later in the game. Because right now, we've finished this level, we can move on to level 3. Now, based on that, you should have a pretty good grasp on the basics of the game. I do want to show you some of the more advanced levels. I'm going to keep it on practice mode because the robots just get way too hard in those later levels. But I am going to show you, starting from level 10, Medicine Ledge. If you'll notice on this level, there are no supplies. As the levels get more advanced, they make the supplies a little bit more sparse. And in fact, what I just did was, by stopping the robot there, was probably a mistake. There's only one way up there to get to where the robot is. And I need to wait for him to get past. In fact, I just made him go the wrong... See, I have to lure him down. I have to wait for him to get past, and that uses up valuable time and valuable supplies. Now, I just realized... Oh, shoot, he's coming after me. I realized I made a mistake. There is another way up there. And that is the good old teleporter. Now, one thing I didn't demonstrate to you is these long, thin lines, they're permeable ground. So if you're standing on there and you press down, you can drop through. And again, that ties into strategy in some of those later levels. There's our supplies. We'll grab those in a minute, but not until we need them. And again, I did make a mistake. There's no other way up there, and I have to wait for this robot to move to get that Roadrunner. I want to make sure he doesn't go in some other direction. Come on. And as you can see, I'm almost out of supplies. Now, I could grab these supplies. I have enough time to get them, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to demonstrate what happens when you run out. Just to give you that full experience. Out of supplies. Now you'll notice that almost every level in a world shares a lot of design similarities. That they're basically variations on a theme. I mean, of course, the entire game is every level in the entire game is similar. They only have one style of graphics. There's one. What is the word? There's only one graphic for each kind of block. All the Roadrunners look the same. The robots always look the same. The background's always exactly the same. But the way that the mazes and levels are actually built, there seems to be a theme that they'll follow for every 4 levels, for each world. So all the levels that are part of Medicine Ledge have the same sort of, with this thing up top here, with a Roadrunner up on the top left that sometimes is harder to get to, might be a little bit more limited way to get to them. Now, since there was no way really to pause the game, beating all 4 levels was really the only way you could, like I said, time for a coffee break. Now here's another one where the game starts getting a little more complicated. There's no way to get to this one without jumping for him. Plus, it's on top of this slower material that's harder to walk on. And it isn't just a matter of jumping to get him. You have to jump to get one that was here and fall all the way back down, wasting more time. Same thing here. I have to jump and fall all the way back down. That becomes more and more common in the advanced levels. And here I'm at the ceiling. I can't jump to go any faster. Here's one that the only way to get to it is by opening the ground there and dropping through. Oh, almost out of supplies. Oops, I missed. There we go. Now the only way to get those last Roadrunners is I have to go all the way up here, jump to this island, And then I have to wait for the robot to go past because I have to actually drop straight down to get them, then drop down again through the bricks, and that's going to take a minute, so I have to wait for this robot to be far enough away. So we'll go ahead and go now. There we go. Now, I could have gone through either one of the red doors there, but I like to go through the forward one, the one that takes us forward through the levels. But honestly, like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter which order you do the games in, the levels. You can beat the first level and then move on to level 4, do them in reverse order, do them in any order you choose. The game does not care. And here we are, the last board of Eagle Snatcher, level 11. Oh, I've run into an issue. There's absolutely no way to get up to the top part of this level. I'm stuck. What I have to do is travel forward and come into the level backwards from the reverse way. Now that we've gone ahead and gotten our supplies, we can take an extra second to look at this. If you notice, this ladder here, there's no way up to it from below. Same thing on the other side of the board. There's no actual direct route leading up to the top of the board. The only way to be at the top of the board, and both teleporters are both at the top. You're just teleporting between two different locations at the top of the board. The only way to get in, if you give me a second, I'm waiting for this robot. He's actually got me cornered, so I'm going to have to trick him. There we go. He's going to go over there. The only way to get onto this top level is to come in through this door here, this broken door. So I have to come in through level 1. I have to go back to level 1 and come in through the reverse way. And those sort of tricks get more and more common as you get to the higher levels of the game. They start really making you think ahead and having to plan your routes through these levels. Now, level 12, Buzzard Flats, is where it starts getting really tricky. As you can see, the bricks, there's a lot of holes in the bricks here. If I fall through those, I'm going to drop all the way almost to the bottom of the board. So I have to carefully jump around to get down to here. Oh, and I messed up already, see? Now, falling here is even more hazardous because that red platform is going back and forth. And if I hit it at the wrong moment, I could get killed. And the only way to get to those supplies is to go on this red platform, which unfortunately got away from me. I have to wait for it to come back. But we should be alright. There we go. And the only way to get to that last robot stopping power pellet thing is to, again, take this red platform one more time. So you end up having to retrace your steps quite a bit in the higher levels of this game. And again, as you can see, it's caused me to almost run out of time. And as you can see, board 2 of this level is very similar in architecture, but, with a little bit of variation. On this one, the red platform doesn't come all the way over to me. So I need to actually jump to it in order to make it work. And again, I'm going to have to retrace my steps to get that last blinking pellet. Now, if you can imagine having to do this, while dealing with 2 or 3 of those robots moving almost as fast as you can move, and you can see how the more advanced difficulty levels can be pretty hard. Oh, that was lucky. I almost died there. Now, this is a really tricky part. You have to wait for that robot. In fact, I'm lying. I'm sorry. Oh, dude, I'm dead. I realize I just killed myself. There's no way for me to get back out of here. You're not going down here. Should be the last thing you do in this level, because there's no way out until you've gotten everything in the level. And that makes falling down those pits that much more hazardous. Now it's safe to go down there because the red door is open. See, like I said, oh shoot, I've just killed myself. Like I said, there's lots of dead ends, and in fact, I've just fallen into one of them. There is no way out of here. What I can do is I can hit the escape key, and then the game will tell me there is no escape. In other words, it lets me sacrifice my life. It's basically giving up. Oh, I've done it again. These later levels often involve a lot more precise timing in your jumping, planning ahead where you're going to go, not just simply, running and reacting, as you come across things. You've got to think a little bit ahead. Problem is, that uses up time. Generally, in the more advanced levels, what you end up having to do is trying, if you can, to start at the top of the level and work your way down to the bottom, because, sometimes when you get to the bottom, there's no way back up. Now, this side is actually safe to go. Whoops. It's safe to travel to, except for that robot, because there's a teleporter here that lets me go back up to the top of the ladder. Oops. Making sure we don't fall down into that pit again. And we're on to the level to screen 4. Oh, and I've just killed myself again. Let's make a point not to go down there until we've gotten everything else in the game, or everything else in the level. Especially since we're on our last life. Now, once again, we've got this issue with the platform going back and forth, and there's no way to get to those power pellets until I backtrack. And any mistaken timing in jumping over those things sends me down to that section of the level that I can't get out of. Basically, any misstep at this point spells doom. Alright, almost got it. Now we've done it. Now all we have to do is grab this last Roadrunner, and we're done. I'll show you one more level for now, Rattlesnake. I'm just going to give you a basic idea of the level here. Actually, this is not the level I wanted to show you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to show you some later levels, the wilds, like Skyhaven. Here, as you can see, they have slowdown material on the ground, levels where you can't easily get from one side to the other. If I go down here, I'm now trapped on the left side of the level, and there's no way back except for by teleporter. Lots of things where if you go, you fall, and you can't get the thing above it. But to get that Roadrunner, I have to get the supplies, and that might be earlier than I want to get them. So you have to start planning which Roadrunners you get in which order. I want to save that one to the end. Now that I've gotten them all, I can go ahead and grab that last one. And because I want to save supplies, I'll go ahead and go backwards in this game. At this point, it's less important doing the boards in order, and more important in trying to go as fast as you can so you don't run out of supplies. And I did not want to do that. Now, it hasn't actually come up, but when you're standing in those teleporters, or if you're standing in one of those broken doors, red doors, before they actually get fixed, you're not able to dig down. That hasn't really been important in this playthrough, but that actually becomes really important at some points when you're trying to dig to get to a Roadrunner, but you're standing, you know, this is in the only place where you can dig down, so you have to really carefully plan where you're going to dig. And we need to make our way to those supplies as quickly as we can. So we're going to have to go ahead and take the little red platform express, which will drop us here. Now, even though your time resets, you know, for every level and obviously every world, you're always going to have, you know, a full time bar. Your supplies don't. When I beat Skyhaven here, I'll demonstrate that to you real quickly. When I've beaten Skyhaven, and I'm on the last one right now, what you'll see is my supplies are not going to refill at the end of the level. Here we go. See, in order to get that Roadrunner, I need to dig a hole. Now I can't stand here and dig a hole, or I'm going to go to the next screen. So I need to stand here and dig under that. Then I need to dig here to get this and this. And that might seem a little simple, but it becomes more complicated in later levels. And that's a real callback to Lode Runner for anyone who's played that game. And as you can see, my supplies are back, you know, are still only halfway full. So anyway, that's Roadrunner Rescue, Freddy's Rescue Roundup. That's the basic idea of it. Not sure, you know, how well it stands up nowadays. You know, the graphics are obviously a little bit primitive, but the gameplay, you know, it's a solid platformer game. Very simple rules, but you know, it builds on itself, gets more and more complicated as it goes on, and you know, I mean, it certainly is no less complex in gameplay than a lot of browser games or you know, games you might find on an iPhone or an Android nowadays. Um, it's certainly no less primitive. Maybe the only difference is the fact that, the graphics and the sound are a little, you know, quote, primitive, unquote. So I think it does stand up pretty well against some of the more modern games. I used to play this game for hours back, when on my first computer, the old IBM PC Junior, and I had a blast playing it, and a lot of frustration. But I thought I would share it with all of you, and I hope you enjoyed it. If there's interest, if you want to see me do a long play of this game, when I'll start at level 1 and go through and try to get through the entire game, let me know in the comments. I'll see if there's enough interest, and I might do a long play. That'll take longer, but I hope this gave you a good taste of a good old classic game, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, folks. I will see you guys next time.